Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I thought we'd celebrate vintage greeting cards, and I have this basket in front of me that has some of the cards that I've collected over the past few years, and I've just found myself loving using these in my junk journals and just basically collecting them just for the joy of looking through them and being inspired by the saturated colors of the flowers that are on the cards and all the images. I love the texture of the paper. A lot of times these cards have a lot of vellum on them or a lot of embossed images. And there's just something about these cards that are different than the cards of today. They almost seem like they were handmade by somebody because of all the detail that you find in them. And even on the inside of the card, they have decoration too, which it reminds me, when I make my greeting cards, I want to try to remember to put some things on the inside too, not just a sentiment, but also, other images and things like that, just to kind of add some more layers to the card. The script that the sentiments are written in too, I really like. And they're just so much fun. And I find these in all different places, thrift stores, antique malls, estate sales. You can find cards. If you have a hard time finding them locally, you can find vintage greeting cards on Etsy, eBay, and I think there's a lot of people have them. And I don't know, they just bring happy memories to me when I look at them. I don't know if it's just reminding me of grandparents or what it is, but they're just so much fun to look at. But I mean, look at the detail there. There's kind of a scalloped edging along with some gold and a little bit of embossing. Just so pretty. A lot of times too, when you find cards, you can find actual notes inside too from people. And I love the formality of the way people wrote decades ago. There's just something so special and so kind of just polite about the way people wrote. And I just enjoy reading those notes too. And I like the baby cards too. They're extra detailed. Let me try to find some back here. Oh yeah, just these baby cards here. They're so cute too, with a little baby cradle. Just so cute. There's a couple more back here. Just so pretty, so delicate. And this one's really pretty. It's made of vellum and it has a pretty scalloped edge too, which is really nice. So I was thinking about how much I love the cards, and I wanted to try to do a project where I recreate kind of the style of a vintage greeting card, but in a modern card. So I did one, and then I want to kind of show you how I did it and kind of do a different one, but that's kind of the same. So I'll explain to you in a second. So I picked out a card that I liked the color combinations and the kind of edging detail on the card. So this card I thought was pretty. It had kind of this scalloped opening here, and then these really pretty, these are actually embossed, these mums on here. I think they're, oh no, these aren't mums. I think these are zinnias. And I really like the script too. And that's another thing that I really like about vintage greeting cards is the different types of script inside. They just have a different look to them that I really liked. So I started with this card, and then I pulled my colors first. And so I've actually been using Catherine Pooler inks, which make it super easy to kind of pick the colors you need. And I like her party collection. They have like really vibrant colors, and I thought those would be good for using for these types of cards. And so I just used this. They have a free download of a color wheel that kind of corresponds with the inks. And I used that to kind of help me choose colors for this card. And then I didn't have a doily die cut, metal die. So I thought just a scalloped circle would work pretty well. So I ended up finding my set of circles. This is from Cat Scrappiness. And gives you quite a few different sizes of circles. So I was kind of experimenting. I wasn't sure what size I wanted to use. So I started with the medium size circle here, or not medium, but it's pretty big. It's not the biggest one, but it's kind of the second biggest one. I decided to use that for kind of the background. And then I found some cardstock that sort of related to this color. And then I was also wanted to kind of sift through my stamps to find a sentiment that kind of had that old-timey printing on it. And the company that I always find the most of those types of sentiments is Paper Tray Ink. And they've kind of turned over their stamps a bit so that because I've been buying from them for many years, and they don't have a lot of the stamps I have are a lot older. I'll try and link what I can find if it's still available, but these are just some of the examples of some of the script that kind of looks like vintage greeting cards. So this is from Vintage Linens. This is just a couple of sentiments here I thought kind of looked like something I could use. This I ended up using. This is from Nostalgic Notions. This was a stamp set they had quite a long time ago, but I thought these were really pretty here. And then this is another one. It's the Thought. So you see it's kind of got that same sort of feeling of kind of a vintage look. This is kind of vintage looking too. And then this kind of is as well. But you know, you can use whatever you have on hand. And just kind of, I think the thing that I noticed the most is the lines on the, I don't know the names of this type of script as I'm not a graphic designer, but I think the thinner the line, the more kind of vintage it looks. So if you can find a sentiment that has very skinny, it's like kind of a skinny writing, if that makes sense, that would be something that would be good to try. So let me show you the card that I created to kind of mimic this card, or that was kind of inspired by this card. So this is the original, and this is the one that I came up with. So I ended up using this "Thank You Kindly." I thought that was a really pretty sentiment. And then I used, this is called Limelight. This is a cardstock from My Favorite Things. And then because this had sort of an embossed floral design on here, I ended up using this new, I've been wanting to try this embossing folder from Altenew that you can, that comes with a stencil that you can color in, and it makes it really easy. So I thought that would be perfect to try on this card too. So I went ahead and embossed the image onto the Cat Scrappiness stitch scallop here. And then I colored it in with the stencil. I tried to choose the same colors that this card has. So it's kind of in the same family there. And so I ink blended the colors in on here. And then I ended up with this card here. So it's quite different. And I look at this and I really like this card better. But I was trying to kind of make it more my style. So I have like a brighter white background, and I don't have a lot going on the card as it seems there is here, with kind of more of a doily look. You could try, maybe if you have a couple of doilies, you could put them together and make a thicker doily background. But I don't know if the doily would end up ripping when you emboss the image, but you can always try it. That's always fun to do. So anyway, this is kind of my trial here. And what I ended up thinking is this, I chose too small of a circle. It needed to be bigger. There's too much space up here. I added some enamel dots, but still there's just too much empty space here. So I thought I'd make another card on camera and use a bigger circle, and we'll see how that turns out. So let me go ahead and get started with that. Okay, so I forgot to show you too, I wanted to do a little decoration on the inside. So I ended up adding, I have the matching stamp set that goes with the, it's called Soft Blossoms from Altenew. And there's a matching stamp set that goes with the stencil and the embossing folder. And I thought it would be pretty to kind of put just a little bit of the florals on the inside. And then this is just a thank you card, so it's blank, so people can kind of write their own message. But I don't know, I have to remember to do that though. I just think it looks so pretty when you add a little bit of detail on the inside of a card. So for this card, it's basically going to be the same thing as this card and the other one, except I'm going to use some different colors and kind of make it more my own, but also try the larger circle and see if that kind of looks a little bit better. So I have the biggest circle from the Cat Scrappiness scallop stitched circle. I have a card. This is just a regular white note card, folded note card that I covered with some snow cone cardstock from Cut Cardstock. I think you can get kind of the same color from My Favorite Things too, but I just cut out a panel and put that on the front so I have a light blue background instead of the green background. I wanted to kind of try that out with some different colors. I have the embossing folder from Altenew, and this is a 3D embossing folder, so it makes a really nice imprint. And then the colors that I chose for my inks, I used the color wheel, and I kind of picked some colors that are my favorite colors for flowers. I'm going to do some pink flowers, blue, and yellow. And then I'll have a little bit of green here for the leaves. So the first thing I'm going to do is emboss this circle. And all I'm going to do is just kind of put it into the embossing folder and just kind of line it up so that the flowers, the flowers kind of get all over the circle, so there's no empty space. I'm going to end up cutting part of the circle off, trimming it when it goes onto the card, but just to be safe, I want to make sure I'm covering the entire card with most of the flowers. So I think that, and it's okay if a little bit hangs over because I end up cutting some anyway, but I think this will be good. So I'm going to run it through my die cutting machine and I'll be right back. This looks really pretty even if you don't add any color to it, but it will look even better with color. So it gives a nice kind of 3D embossed look to it there. And then all I'm going to do is just add some of the colors with the stencils. So the stencil set is really easy to use. Comes with 4 stencils and they're marked at the top corner in order of how you use them. So, and you can kind of pick and choose how you use the stencil depending on the type of color you're looking for. If you want to leave part of it, the flower white, you can omit one of the stencils. You know, it's just kind of up to you how you want to do it. But I'm going to end up using all the stencils. So you see up in the corner here, it might be hard to see, but there's a 1 here. So that's the first stencil you would use. And you kind of pick your colors according to the layers. So since this is going to be a bottom layer, I'm going to use my lighter inks first. And I'm just using some sponge daubers. I like to use these for ink blending. I use brushes sometimes too, but if I really want saturated color, I'll use the sponge daubers. So I'm going to go ahead and line up the stencil over the first part of the flowers that I want to color in. So I'm just going to kind of lay this here, and it lines up pretty easy. You can kind of see the embossed parts that are exposed on the stencil. And I like this Wendy Vecchi Make Art Station. It has magnets on it that you can use to secure your stencil while you're ink blending, and then you don't get ink all over your table, and it makes everything really easy. So I'm going to be using blues, yellows, and pinks. So I'm going to start, I don't think it really matters which one. I'm probably going to use blue on the top, and then I'll just use yellow and pink on the other ones. So I'm going to start with the lightest color of blue here. And I'm going to do this one. And like I mentioned, these are all Catherine Pooler inks in the Party collection. They're really pretty. This is called Oh Boy. It's kind of like a lighter blue color. But I thought these colors kind of had that vintage greeting card look too. A lot of times you see these colors on the greeting cards. So that's the blue part. And then I'm going to do, I think I'm going to do the pink down here. I'll just try that. And this is great. I love these stencils because it helps me color in the lines. But then it gives you like a soft kind of brushed look. It's just so pretty. So that's the pink. And then I'm going to do the lightest yellow. Then I'm going to do the second stencil, and I'm going to add the second level of color. So the second darkest color. So stencil number 2 is going to cover this part here. You can kind of do darker on the edges or on the inside. You can kind of do kind of a dark light blending just to kind of make it more interesting. Okay, and then I'm going to add the pink. And the yellow. And then I'm actually going to add a little yellow right here for the center of this blue flower too. All right, so that's that part. I'll pull this up, see how it looks. That looks really good. Then I've got one more layer of flowers. So this is number 3 stencil. And I'm just going to line that up. This stencil works with the embossing folder, and it also works with the stamp set too, which is nice. So you get a lot of use out of this. Just gonna make sure I get this lined up really well. So for this 3rd stencil, I'm going to use the darkest inks to kind of give a shadow effect. I don't have darker inks for all of these inks, so all I'm going to do is use a heavier hand with the medium ink, and it'll give the same look. But I do happen to have the darker ink for the blue, so I'm going to go ahead and use that for the blue flowers. It's so pretty. That's called Suede Shoes. Okay, and then for this medium pinkish red, I'm just going to put it on a little bit heavier, and so it'll seem darker. I won't do a lot of kind of light to dark. I'll just have it really saturated. Got that there, and then the yellow, and then I'll just add the leaves and we'll be done. Oh, actually, there's a little flower down here. I guess I'll make this red, kind of like a pinkish red. And then I've got the yellow. There. Okay, I like the way that turned out. Now there's just some embossed leaves here that I'm going to add some green to. And I'm just going to kind of use one color and just kind of blend it to make it look, kind of go from lighter to darker. All right, and then this is called Lime Ricky. I'm just going to kind of do darker to light. You can't really mess it up. It's just like kind of a nice blend. Double check and see how that looks. It's easy to put the stencil back in place too if you need to add some more color. But I actually like that. It's got a little bit of white edging, but I think that looks kind of good. So we're done with the circle. So I'm just going to get all this stuff out of the way. So for the sentiment, I want to make sure that I kind of line it up where it needs to go alongside the scalloped circle. So I'm just going to kind of look at the amount of room I have, and you know what, I'm going to do my Misty this way. So with this larger, this is definitely going to look better with the larger circle. So I'm just kind of, I want to be able to have the circle cover the left corner of this card. So I want to try to get as much of the floral design onto the card as possible without showing any of that corner. So I think that's about as far as I can go. So that's where that's going to go. Then I'm going to line up my sentiment, and I'm using this Thank You Kindly sentiment from Paper Tray ink. And I like to get everything perfectly lined up. So I have, this is from Tailored Expressions. It's a nice thick grid lined piece of plastic that you can line up on your Misty to kind of make your sentiment be extra straight. So I'm just going to line that up here. I'm going to put the sentiment right where I want it. think I'm going to put it over to the side as far as possible and then kind of have it, I don't think I want to go down too low. But you want to have the sentiment be pretty close, because you want everything to, you don't want anything to look too, like there's too much space in between. So it's nice to kind of tuck it together. Yeah, I think I'm just going to keep it there. Okay, so then I'm going to quickly put my MISTI down. So I got that straight there. And then I'm going to remove the circle. And then I'm just going to use, this is dye ink from Hero Arts. This is my favorite ink for sentiments. It's just very crisp, and it doesn't have a lot of kind of fuzzing around the edges. I'm just going to pull the plastic grid off and then just lightly tap over here. Should be good. Actually, I always forget. I don't sometimes put my magnet on, but the card can move sometimes, even if it's pushed up to the corner. So that'll keep it from moving if I have to restamp it. Yep. I have to restamp again. Okay, that looks good. Okay, so that's all set. Now I'm just going to place the circle here. I'm just going to use, I have these little foam squares. I'm just going to put a few. I'm going to end up cutting off some of the corner, but I'm not sure how much. So I'm just going to kind of put them where the flowers are, and one over at the top here, and then I'll put one in here, and then one over on the edge. This was definitely, it was a better choice to make the bigger circle, but I will still use the other card. I think it looks fine, but I think you can definitely see the difference, and we'll look at a side-by-side at the end here. So now I'm just gonna kind of put this, get this right near the sentiment. Make sure I get a lot of the flowers in. I think that's good. Okay, and then I'll secure that. Then I just want to trim off the edges. And I like these big scissors. These are from Tim Holtz. They're non-stick scissors, and they work great for techniques like this when you want to trim off excess cardstock from your project. All right, let's compare. Now, I don't know if I should add some, you know what, I'm not going to do that for now, but I may later add some little embellishments, but I don't even think I need to. I really like the way this looks, and you can kind of see the side by side. Definitely better using the larger circle. It fills up the card more, and then you don't have as much space at the top here. This still looks good, but this definitely looks better. And let's compare it with the original. So we've already compared this one, so let's go ahead and look at this one here. So I basically kind of captured the essence of the card, but I'm kind of making it my style. So I like lighter colors, brighter colors, less muted. Like you can see, this doily is kind of an off-white. I wanted to use a bright white. So I'm kind of taking some inspiration from this card and turning it into my own. So I don't know, I just thought that would be kind of a fun project to do. And so if you like to collect vintage greeting cards, you use them for your junk journals. Also, you can use them for inspiration if you like to make greeting cards too. You can be inspired by the images on the cards, so the florals, or whatever type of, if there's animals or something really cute on the front of the card, you can be inspired by that. Find some stamps that kind of match that. You can be inspired by the style. If there's a lot of different little edges and things like that, folds, you can recreate that. Color combinations, that's a great way to get some inspiration if you're kind of needing can't kind of figure out what colors you want to use. Pull colors from pretty vintage cards that you see. And then textures, things like embossing, the type of paper you use. You can use these cards to inspire you that way too. So just kind of a fun little project to celebrate the greeting cards. Let me know if you have any questions. I do have all different types of videos on my channel. I do junk journaling, beading, card making. It's just kind of whatever I feel like doing at the time. I don't have a regular schedule, so you never know what you might find on there. But I do have everything organized by playlist. So if you're looking for something about card making, you can look on that playlist, or junk journaling. I do a lot of organizational videos too, so I have a whole playlist on that if you like that kind of thing too. So definitely subscribe to my channel. I should be doing an In the Craft Room pretty soon, so I think that's going to be my next video. So I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in my next video.